Okay, I'm back. Go ahead. I got you. Welcome back to the final half hour of Green Rush Live, our regularly scheduled, really live business of cannabis show that we do every Friday and have been doing it now for 3 years in this time slot. And I get a lot of pressure from people, mostly men, by the way, who say to me, "Why do you do it on Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock?" I said, "Because I want you to show up." All right. And it also has something to do with the fact that Friday, 420, I'm hoping my audience is out there enjoying and relaxing and chilling out and enjoying what they do. That's what we do. I am Jimmy Young, the founder of Pro Cannabis Media and the sometimes host of Green Rush Live. We also have our news show that follows this really live talk show at the top of the hour. So you'll get to watch me anchor and see if I've lost my touch reading off a teleprompter. It is what it is. I promise you, Elena Pinto will be back next week, because I will say this, my numbers are half what Elena's numbers have been. So again, another reason why women have an opportunity in television on a regular basis. And I try to give as many opportunities to people who want to learn this crazy business as possible. All right, so let's get to our panel. Again, Brooke Westlake is with us. Guest hosting with me, and I so appreciate that. She works with the Women in Cannabis Expo, and she's really someone who is very comfortable being on camera and talking and asking great questions. And that's what I mean, Brooke. Those are the things I look for when I look for talent to train. So you got it, girl. We have with us Dale Sky Jones from Oaksterdam University, and Dale, I'm very familiar with Oaksterdam University because I know we've talked with people over the last 2 or 3 years. We've had all these people I've talked to from there, and great reputation. People respect what you all do, and just keep that up. I also want to bring back in Patty Pappas. Now, I say bring back in only because I met her at an MJ Biz. Wait, was MJ Unpacked, if I remember correctly?
Yeah,
Patty,
correct. MJ Unpacked, yes.
The first one, George's first one in Las Vegas. That's where we met. I remember that interview. And the third member of our panel this half hour is Merril Gilbert. And Merril, I'm going to start with you because I want to make sure that your microphone's working properly. Okay, I'll be perfectly honest. Unmute yourself and tell us about what Trace Trust is and what role you play as CEO.
Thank you. So great to be here, and always great to share the stage with these wonderful women. So I'm thrilled to be doing this. Trace Trust was founded in 2015, and we come from a really long background in the food and beverage industry, and we work really closely on emerging trends in food tech. And we personal stories with cannabis as well, but we knew that this was an emerging industry. We knew that it was starting from the ground up, and we were always strong advocates for how to have safe and reliable experiences, and knowing that that was the biggest risk to the industry. And so when we founded this company, we set the first standards for food safety, for labeling. These are still very much a part of ASTM, which was leading the charge on that. And we have our first symposium coming up this fall that will really bring leadership from all disciplines for where we are in the industry now and next. And then on our work of not only guiding companies into the industry, is we work with founders that are scaling businesses and getting ready to seek funding and getting them all set for that process and helping them develop their investor profiles.
Well, we can talk about that at some point, but thank you for joining us. Appreciate that. And I have great questions about the infused beverage community that's starting to really take off. I noticed that at NECAN. I think I had 5 interviews with people that are running beverage companies.
It is a game changer.
Oh, 100%. And also the powder that you can actually put in any drink that's water soluble now that can be infused. But let's continue with Oaksterdam University's Dale Sky Jones. How old is Oaksterdam University? What's the history, and how is enrollment going?
Hi, Jimmy. Well, the school was first formalized in 2007, although our founders started teaching, including to law enforcement and the city of Oakland back in the 90s. So we're a quarter of a century old now. We can rent a car. And with that, we've really evolved. We've changed so much over the years since that federal raid of 2012. I came in quite accidentally. I knew I was involved in the teaching side of it, but the spokeswoman side of it was what I didn't know I needed to do. And the school since then has taught over 80,000 individuals from 110 countries. And because it is, Women's Day, it's a lot of women that have just simply credited seeing other women that are just like them doing this and realizing it's okay. And so what we're doing now and who we're teaching, we still certainly teach the business of cannabis to various entrepreneurs who are in their own industries trying to figure out how to interface with this industry. Maybe they're in marketing or standards, and trying to understand what this is. But we also are now spending an awful lot of time working with governments. And we used to just teach one-off classes and courses, or generally we'd have somebody from some layer of government in every course or class we taught. But now we are working directly with, for instance, the city of Los Angeles, city of Palm Springs, Oakland, County of Monterey. And we've also recently launched with the state of Connecticut Social Equity Council a 9-month accelerator program. And we're teaching not just the workforce development, folks that are trying to go find a job with dignity that is, really exciting in this industry if you can find the right employer and the right space and place. But it's also for figuring out how to be an entrepreneur, how to write your business plan, professional development, business development. And in the case of these accelerators, we're also doing one-to-one coaching, as well as putting you in front of investors. So it is the full soup to nuts experience for folks that have been historically disadvantaged and even, imprisoned due to the war on drugs. So it is, it's really exciting and meaningful work, and we're interacting with a lot of different sectors, from government to education to, of course, the general public and the nonprofit work we do.
We would love for you to educate the United States Senate if it's at some point, okay? Please.
Working on it. Call your senator and ask them to attend Oaksterdam.
Guys, I'm from Massachusetts, so, let's just leave it at that. Patty Pappas from Hello Again is here, and Patty and I met a few years ago at another trade show, and we did an interview. So hello again, Patty, and tell us, how is Hello Again going?
Hello Again is going.
Tell the audience what it is. Go ahead.
So Hello Again is a line of cannabis-based vaginal suppositories that my friend and co-founder Carrie Mapes and I founded just over 3 years ago. We looked into the cannabis space when it became legal in California, and we couldn't find a product that we felt comfortable using for our own wellness on a daily basis and a nightly basis. We didn't want to have a head high. We wanted to be consistent from usage to usage and user to user. And we experimented and we looked around, and we decided that if we were on it, we were going to have to make it ourselves. So in 2020, we launched with Hello Again Every Day and Hello Again Sleep, which are vaginal suppositories. They allow us to deliver THC, quite a bit of THC. Our sleep formulation has 20 milligrams of THC in it without the head high. So you can, get on the everyday and the sleep formulation. You can have meetings, you can have conversations, you can wake up and drive if you need to. And that was really important to us. So since the launch of those two products, we have now come out with Hello Again Period and Hello Again Hangover, because we got so much response from our first two products that younger women were using it for their monthly pain, which makes sense. And hangover, you have that extra glass of wine or two, and people were feeling a lot better than they felt like they deserved to. So we now are happy to be helping women relieve their symptoms from the age 21 and up.
I got to tell you, you guys have it rough. You can do things that we can't do, reproduce. Okay. And you have to go through the period thing. You have to go through menopause. You have to go through dealing with guys, which, trust me, I get, okay? Because it's a challenge. It is a challenge. No doubt about it. Brooke, go ahead. I'm going to let you kind of take over the discussion here and take us home if you don't mind.
Okay, so I have an individual question for each lady because you guys are each in very different realms of this industry, which I find to be amazing. I'm going to start with Dale. I have a question is, do you feel or have other universities and colleges, are they coming to you guys and saying, we want to do a cannabis certificate program or a bachelor's program? Are they actively coming to you and saying like, how do we do it? Or are they just kind of doing their own thing? And if they are doing their own thing, would you advise them? I would think it would be in their best interest to come to you. You guys are the example. And so how's that shaking out and how's it working?
An interesting question, Brooke. It is a bit of a challenge because, we do have to find ways to earn enough money to pay the team, not only a livable wage, but good benefits, which is something that we've, really achieved finally after years of working towards that. I also view these other educational institutions as our legacy. We needed this to be taught in medical school, in legal school, that lawyers, doctors, CPAs, this should be everywhere from political science to, biological science research. So it's very necessary that this is folded in, that doctors, sorry, there's a bit of feedback, that doctors had, that they're learning about the endocannabinoid system at the same time that they're understanding the circulatory system, that this is all part of what we need to understand in all of these different disciplines. That said, there's still a very clear barrier for any university or college that accepts federal funds or who accepts students with federal funds in teaching this subject matter that breaks the Schedule I laws, that any laws around teaching about the Schedule I drug. It's actually very specifically why we are not allowed to be a nonprofit. I operate as a not-for-profit, but I have to pay taxes. I'm not allowed to be nonprofit. So it's that same barrier. And it is a risk for any school or university to cross that line. So they can speak in generalities, but when you actually dive into the programs they're teaching, they're not allowed to touch that third rail. That red line cannot be crossed. And so for those reasons, we have developed many different relationships over the years, and one in particular with Golden Gate University, where they're just recognizing our programs for credit because they know they can't teach what we teach. We're just starting to get into those relationships. What's really been happening for the last 15 years is we've had everyone from university and college professors all the way up through administrators coming and taking our courses and classes. Most of them shake my hand after, tell me who they are, and say, wow, that was so awesome. I can't wait to write your program in my course. It's like, wait a minute. Hold on here. So there's no question at how many programs, both public, private, alike, have looked to Oaksterdam as, as their inspiration of what they're teaching. But we've worked really hard to stay at the cutting edge of this education and have a very strong feedback program, both with workforce and professional leaders who have to hire workforce. They were all our graduates from back in the day who grew up and started large, they grew their corporations and are now dealing with workforce. It's important to realize that we're not just trusted, that it's really important to understand what those learning outcomes need to be that are practical for the student. It's not just in name only, that it's something that's going to improve their life, that social equity is ultimately about health equity as much as wealth equity. And so making sure that what we say we're doing and what those students and graduates are walking away with, whether it's a single one-off program or a full certification, is that they're able to take that into the world and do something meaningful with it. We don't just teach people what they want to know. We teach them what they didn't know they needed to know, the what not to do's. And that is what a lot of the other institutions are failing at. They're not setting, they're trying to set people up for success, which is fine, but they're not preparing them for the worst. and teaching them how to navigate in a very difficult, tricky, sticky industry where the law is not settled yet, banking is not safe, the IRS still comes after you. It's just, there's so many risks, and people are like, oh, let me just teach you how to make money. And it's like, just buyer beware on those types of courses. Anyone will sell you what you want to know, but are they teaching you what you need to know?
That's great.
And for that reason, we still invite it. Yeah.
I love
Adapted.
that. That's
Go ahead.
strong.
Go ahead.
Oh yeah, no, that's amazing. My next question's for Patty. And I got to meet your co-founder, Carrie, last year in Las Vegas. I think it's amazing what you guys have developed as a product, especially for women. As Jimmy said, we go through all these transitions. How do you guys get your product into the dispensaries, and how many dispensaries or cannabis shops, I guess you could say, are you guys currently in right now? Because your product is definitely one that's needed.
Yeah, we are currently in, I think we're almost 100 dispensaries throughout the state of California, which we're super proud of. We also can now deliver through our website. That was a big thing, because a lot of the customers we felt when we started were like us, and they didn't necessarily always feel comfortable going into the dispensary. So to be able to order from your home and have it delivered to you was important to us. So it was a struggle getting on those shelves, especially in the beginning, because one, we were talking about menopause to 25-year-old buyers, male buyers. So we had to explain to them, oh, this is menopause. These are the symptoms. You can't sleep through the night. You're tired. You're sweating. You have night sweats. And usually we'd have sort of this kind of dazed expression on their face. And oftentimes days later, they would call back and they'd say, I talked to my mom, or I talked to my sister, and it's actually a really good idea what you guys are doing. We're like, oh, thank you. We think so. But it was slow going. We knew it was going to be slow organic growth with people trying the product and knowing that it made them feel better. It's getting a lot easier now because the wellness space shelves in dispensaries are getting bigger and bigger. Before they would be literally like this big, 6 inches, so they wouldn't carry a lot of different brands, but that's been changing. So we're feeling more and more optimistic about getting into more and more stores and being able to bring wellness and cannabis as a source of wellness to more and more women in California.
That's great. Man, do men love you? That's all I can say, Patty. Okay. Right. I mean, and as a male I'm 60 freaking 5 years old. I got my own issues. All right. That being said, you have to empathize with your partner who's going through all this. And I always say there must be something to help. There must be something to help. There must be something. Thankfully, you've delivered something that will make everybody happy on that part. Go ahead, Brooke. I jumped in because I can't.
Yeah. No, you're good. Merril, my last question goes to you. And I love that you're on the packaging, the packaging labeling side. My mom and stepdad were both in food and beverage my stepdad was in for like 50 years. And then my mom was in for 20 years. What made you go into packaging specifically? Did you have a background in that before, or was this something it was like a calling to you and you were like, this is what I'm going to do in the cannabis space?
So it's really that we're not in packaging overall, right? It is really about all safe and regulated products. And so that's where this really came from. It's our experience in food safety, in HACCP training, in GMP certifications, in scaling. My business partner comes from the ag side, and we both come from food manufacturing. We come from the hospitality. It's like, if you want to grow something, put it in a box, put it on a shelf, put it in a plate, anywhere along that, we know how to do that. And so really what started, initially, we were just going to make beautiful plant-based edibles, right? We knew that we could scale that state to state. We knew how, to formulate. We knew how to, until we have nationwide legal access, we knew how to mirror. But if you think back 2015, 2016, we did not even have the nanotechnologies that Jimmy was talking about earlier, that we have today, right? And so those first clear concentrates, those first clear extracts that were being used, it was 1,000 to 1. Like, if you didn't have the knowledge and understanding on how that actually interacts, that if you didn't understand that it's very different in your system, a baked good as we all know, because everybody has the brownie story, right? That they always refer to. Oh, well, because that's a 4 to 6 hours sometimes, as opposed to a tincture under the tongue, 15, 20 minutes. We have sublinguals now. We have the suppositories. We have so much, right? And so we knew that that was a very big thing. And that's why we wrote those initial standards on product safety that takes into the full life cycle of a product. Right now, all regulatory testing still focuses on the initial plant materials and potencies of THC and CBD and not all the other cannabinoids. It still doesn't look at that. And our biggest struggle, what has suffered so much, particularly here in California, is that we value THC levels of potency above quality, above the overall, where is that coming from? We don't treat it in, and we will get there. We're headed in that, as soon as we can do that. But, we need to build out the appellation quality in the same way that we have in the wine industry, right? You can't call something champagne unless those grapes are actually grown in Champagne, France, right? Napa Valley wine, if you put Napa Valley wine, it has to be grown in the county of Napa Valley. It can't be from someplace else. So our legacy growers, our farmers, our genetics, we're just going through this. So again, our big leadership push, our reasons that we exist and fight so hard of bringing all other industries into this is we have to be treated like all other industries. To Dale, who has been, so carrying the torch for all of us to be able to do this. But where we take on is we have to be treated by insurance companies. We have to be treated by banking. We have to be treated like other manufacturing. It's not this, one off. It is an ingredient and it has the same, capabilities and liabilities as anything else. So that is what our stand is. And so those standards are what we push for, is so that when you look at a label, you understand what you're getting. You can read the label, for one thing, and you know how to use and administrate that, and that you can back up all the way through where that came from, right? So we did this whole series on YouTube about good label, bad label, and one of them is QR codes to nowhere. What the hell is that about? Or this, do not touch this, right? This is not, we don't know where this came from. And so why do you see all this, pushback on some of these other products? It's all in states that don't have any form of legal access. And they are literally, yes, it might be the original plant materials, but they are taking it and adulterating it in unsafe methods. And that's going to hurt us, because to all of us, we want people to have this wonderful access to beverages. Beverages are equalizer, right? It's something that we can do. It's something that and they can provide that experience of destigmatization, but they can also, we are trying to fit the needs of what you want. There is truly people that just want to get high, old school. That's what they care about. But the rest of us might just want something to relax. I want something that, if my young children are in the room, I'm not, passed out on the couch, right? We want to have these need states. That is the future, experiential. Where is that experience? But I need to make sure that it's safe, reliable, and repeatable.
What's interesting is this week, I'm sure you know this, okay? It does look like the FDA may be stepping in and talking to the DEA about getting all those CBD products tested before they show up on the counter. And I think everybody recognizes that testing is good, okay? Knowing what you're getting is always good. And there has been some, let's say, less than consistent results when the people have done independent tests on the various CBD products that are out there. I go back to what I said, Dale, about the U.S. Senate, because educating the legislators is so necessary, because they are making decisions that are impacting everybody's life, either at the federal level, the state level, or even the town level. And we all know how important education has to be in order to reach that normalization that I keep preaching about, because legalization is a political issue, and there's going to be money involved, and big pharma is going to be involved. We need to get acceptance for this plant as a medicine, and then learn more about what the benefits really are and how it works. Just imagine if we hadn't banned cannabis in 1937 or taxed the you know what out of it, okay? How far ahead? Would we have as much cancer as we have now? No, we wouldn't. Would we have as much autism as we have now? No, we wouldn't. So we're really just starting over again in 2023. And it's going to take people like the women in this room, the women that are in this industry that are going to understand this. We're in it for the long haul. Now that it's been legalized in 21 states and there's a race to become 22, it's here to stay. So first of all, we are up against the clock, and I always like to hit my deadlines at the right moment. So I do want to thank Brooke for being a great guest host. And as I said, Brooke, you know, I heard talk about a women-only talk show over the last 2 hours. I certainly would be loving to distribute something like that on a monthly basis, or however many times you want to do something like this, because conversation and education is how we're going to make the most change. And Lord knows I like to think of myself as a teacher and a coach more than a whatever I am, businessman, sportscaster, ex-sportscaster, whatever. I really love sharing the experiences I've had in my life with others to mentor them or impact their lives. That's what I'm all about. So now that I've filled right up until the top of the hour, I want to thank Brooke. I want to thank Dale, and I definitely want to thank, hello again, Patty and Merril. And Merril, I want to talk to you eventually. We're going to do a beverage show, and I'm going to bring you back on so we can talk about that, because I had, like I said, 5 interviews with new companies getting into the beverage space at NECAN just 2 weeks ago. So there's a future here. That's going to wrap it up for another edition of a Green Rush Live, the really live business of cannabis talk show that we run here every Friday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern on the Pro Cannabis Media Network, our Roku channel, our Apple channel, our own homepage of our website, and of course on all the other social media outlets that are out there. And as the dog said in the background, it is definitely time to start my weekend and move on. So thank you all. Remember, it's a whole new world of weed out there, people. Use it responsibly. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.
So for years, we've been doing manufacturing, financial services, medical, and so forth on businesses that stand alone, from doctors' offices to day traders to even small banks. And so when cannabis came along, all of the tools, skills, and miscellaneous that we learned in there, we were able to apply it for them. And for us, it wasn't that big of a problem or a challenge. It worked great. And so they just needed a reporting feature in one software, and luckily that the software company came through for us, came it back, and now it's become the backbone for our offerings, and it's worked out incredibly well.